Hello everyone, very welcome to this webinar about Naviate 24.3. It's me and Caroline here today. So Naviate for 24.3. I can imagine someone is here also asking or thinking, what about 25? It's gonna come. But I think you've heard that it's a lot of updates there. They're shifting development platform. They're going to .NET 8. So just very briefly, we anticipate Naviate for Civil 25 to be available at September. It's a lot of job there. So we've been adding news into Naviate, just released version 24.3. The general or base part, as we call it now, what's happened there is that ribbons have been restructured. We have a new command called objects on off to turn on and off civil objects. We've worked a lot with property sets where we've had issues handling special characters like semicolon, backslash, extra comma, and so they now work. Yeah, I'm actually going to go through these a bit hasty, I think. We have created or updated the functions for updating and creating tables and labels from property sets. We have some news in create view frames, like setting the text height and picking layout number. So I'll go through these in detail. I'll just go through the actual agenda today. I'm going to show the two first steps, general and road and landscape. In road, we have a new rock cut daylight subassembly that has a horizontal rock shelf, the copy corridor command that I hope you saw in the previous release, where we can copy, we can join, we can split and merge corridors in the same drawing. We now added support for overrides and transitions. We've done a lot of work with our 3D measure command, the one that inserts lights posts or railings along feature lines. So we added a lot of features in there. The same with the extrude command, ability to extrude any kind of polyline shape along a feature line or 3D poly or so. We have improved feature line labeling and our edit elevations by scroll wheel and by values now support pick first. Caroline is going to talk about Naviate traffic. The headlines are sign holders can now have schematic height in section, means they don't have to show the correct elevation or height. Insert sign holder has been updated with plan and section scale straight in the dialog, directly in the dialog, so you can see it and modify it more simply. Copy sign holder can now copy with reference point. Elevation check can pick a reference point in any section view or in the section view, not only in plan and 3D. Sign holder manager is now oriented in columns, so it's been restructured in a way to hopefully work in a more simple fashion. And we have a new command to export objects to Infraworks. In pipe, we have a new command called pipe fillet to create arced pipes between straight pipes. We have, I think maybe you've seen this pipe bend command previously. It's been reworked. We can create gravity pipes at specific lengths and angles. We're kind of simulating the workflow that pressure pipes has. Edit pipe network styles and copy parts. Those are two new commands for managing pipe network settings. So this is going to help you create your styles and parts lists. We have a new tool set of spanning labels. Easy way to add spanning labels to enable work with pipe branches. So we're going to work a lot with these pipe branches further on. Reverse pipe has been updated, so it's now more simple to see all pipes in the network to see which ones actually go the wrong way. Yeah, that's it. So the base functionality of Naviate. I'm going to be jumping back and forth here. Hopefully Caroline, you keep track of time. I should be ready at if we share this 25 minutes from now. Yeah. So ribbons restructured. If I jump over to my Civil and Naviate, this is one of the things that people like me normally hate. When I install a new version of Word and I have to say, where is that button and that function? They moved it. Why? Okay, we did it. But we had a good cause. We thought that our commands were sometimes hidden. They were duplicated. They weren't maybe in the best organization. So we made some changes. So the Naviate General or Base ribbon, we can see that the property functionalities have been displayed in larger icons and more visible. There are still drop downs because there is quite a lot of property set commands. This is one of the real benefits with the general feature or base features of Naviate. The surfaces are still here, same as previously. The sheet tools for creating view frames, non-alignment based view frames, they have been moved slightly together with the drawing features, and the buttons to open the other Naviate ribbons are to the right. Moving over to Naviate Pipe, you can see a lot of changes. There is no surface pane. It's in here. The property set palette has been decreased. They are actually all here if you want to reach them from here. We have reorganized the structure here. So we have create, commands that create something, edit, commands that edit something, manage when you want to change or do work with styles or export stuff, elevation and profile, elevation tools, profile tools, and so section tools, label tools, and selection tools. So hopefully, I think you're going to struggle as most probably me and Caroline will do also in this demonstration. However, we think that it feels quite more simple to find stuff. It's going to take some time, but you're hopefully going to be more effective, and you will be able to see the commands more instead of us hiding them in drop downs and so. Landscape, similar. That one has surface because it's close related to landscape. Landscape tools, corridor tools are here, and for you that wished for having piles in landscape, yes, they are now available in the landscape module as well. Road has been changed. We reorganized it, yes. Plan, profile, corridor, labels, geotechnical. Hopefully this is going to help you. Naviate traffic is no change. Some added commands, but otherwise no changes. So, looking back at the PowerPoint there. New command, objects on off. New function to turn on and off civil objects. So let's have a look at that one. You start it using this button here on the Naviate base panel, or actually on any of the panels. You can see it's objects on off. If I look at the prospector, so now it's the prospector, not the objects on off. You see I have point groups, I have some surfaces in some surface groups, I have alignments, I have some feature lines, I have a corridor and some pipe networks. Now it's the Naviate objects on off. All those, well, not all I mentioned. So we have point groups, surfaces, alignments, profile views, feature lines, pipe networks, and corridors. So I have a 2D and 3D view here. Let's start by turning off the corridor. You see the corridor disappearing in plan and profile. You see I still have some lines here. Yeah, that should be my feature lines. I can either turn them on and off one by one or at the top. So I can turn off all of the site. I now have something with the surface, I guess. So I'm going to turn off the road formation. But you see there's still surfaces here. Which one is it? I'm going to use this button here. Select objects to hide. Select that one. Draw a crossing window over there. And those surfaces were now hidden. These were the volume surfaces. As you see, it's a folder, surface folder. I click there and they're back. So a lot of things available here. Turn on and off stuff by selection or by picking. You see the profile view. I'm going to go for the profile view there. Turn that one off. And as soon as I want everything back, I press here, turn all stuff on again. What we do is we work with layers. So what's happening is actually that surface or object is moved to a layer that we hide. You can see it down here. We say what we do. So we move them to a hidden layer. That's going to increase speed. We're thinking of adding to some objects the ability to turn off using styles, which we actually do with point groups already. So if I turn off my point group, that actually turns the point group style to none. And we return it afterwards or reset it. We had the pipe networks here as well. Not in the object viewer, but in this one here, pipe networks. We can turn them on one and one, or turn them off, or turn them on, show all. Yeah, there. Hopefully this is gonna help your productivity quite extensively. So, felt like I forgot something, but no questions so far. Any applause? I think that this is at least a tool we've heard a lot of people asking for. So I continue. Property sets, import, export functionality. Yes, as I mentioned, we now handle special characters, which allow you to have backslashes, semicolons, comma, and we still enable or have the ability to update them or import data. We saw that we came across different setups where well, data was structured in a way we didn't anticipate. So create and update table and label. We have a new workflow and updates with that one. So I'll show that one, and I will also move to creating view frames, label and text height, and pick layout number. I'll explain this soon. So I have actually 3 view frames. Those are ordinary polylines. I'm going to use the plant data command to say that, even though they are view frames, say that those are actually planting areas. So they are now going to get the grass property in the property set. Let's look at one of those here and see what happened. I got the Naviate plant data property set added, grass let in, and so in here. So that I hope you know that is a tool to add property sets and set up features. You can add your own codes in here for not only plant data. It can actually be anything that you want to classify and or categorize and quantify. So any kind of maybe tiles or areas or whatever you want to quantify. So when they were added, we have the new or updated create schedule table or a label. Just to show, this command is also now here, create schedule table. So I'm going to pick one of those and say I want to use the plant data property set, plant data label. I want my size of my text, which is now set in millimeters. And I want to add a label. It's going to take some time. My machine is a bit slow. I'm going to place the schedule there. So that's a dynamic schedule that we call a label. Notice that we now support a leader with the landing distance that's set in the leader style. We can control where to connect it. If you want to connect left, right, center, or top, left, bottom, and all those options. I'm going to connect it to my polyline there. I'm picking that point. And now look, when I pick the same object there, it picks the same offset for that schedule. If I press enter, it's going to pick the same for the landing of the arrow. So I can actually just pick, enter, enter, and I'm going to get the same relation very quickly if I want to label a lot of the same objects. I can pick and change any if I want to. So update and scaling. I'm going to move this view frame slightly. So now the arrow does not point to it. I'm going to run. No, actually, I'm going to change the scale also to show what happens now. So the scale civil needs to update there, but it doesn't update the schedules. Our command to update schedules and labels, I'm going to press enter for all. And then it asks, do you want to keep schedule positions? Yes, I want to keep those. But do you want to keep or adjust arrow positions? I want to adjust those. They are scaled, and this one now points to the object. So the change of that one will update the position of the arrow. So that's kind of semi-dynamic. I think that was the base features. No, it's the create view frames also. Yep. So hopefully you've seen our webinar about creating view frames, where we can use this feature or function to create viewports or layouts that are not dependent on the alignment as the civil feature is. We can pick positions, but one of the features, especially for the Swedish market, is that you have predefined positions of polylines or something that indicates your positions of your view frames. And the naming of those view frames quite often are simple text just beside. So when I want to set these up to connect those, we can now pick that one. So actually, I'll just go ahead, and it now says pick the text for the numbering. So I'm going to pick the text, and then I'm going to pick the view frame for it. And then you see that is inserted. So that is the name of that one now. Continue here, pick the name, pick the view frame, enter to accept the position of the label. Of course, I don't maybe need a new label, but it's very quick now to use this feature when you have predefined. This was a predefined text for the names, requested by a few large companies. Okay. So moving on, I see a question, will this release be available for 23 and 22 as well? The answer to that is later. We are actually working on a new version already that's going to be released in August. So by then, yes, it's going to come for 23 and 22. Right now, it's only 24. So over to the road. It feels like I have a lot of time, or takes a lot of time. As usual, I talk too much, right, Caroline? There's a new rock cut daylight subassembly. I will refer to the notes, the news notes on how to use that one. As I mentioned, copy corridor command has been updated, so it supports overrides and transitions. Please try this one to copy and merge corridors and so, or split. It's working very nicely in the tests we've made. 3D Measure has been updated with templates and lots of news. Extrude also. So let's have a look at those two features. So I have the corridor. I have some feature lines. You already saw them. And I have the 2D and 3D view here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here closer, and let's start the landscape ribbon and work with the 3D measure. This exists in both road and landscape. So I'm going to pick one of the feature lines there, corridor feature lines. And we now support 2D, 3D blocks, multi-view blocks, and note labels. We have a few new settings here. Insert block at end station, even if it's not an even end station. Previously, we only inserted with that certain frequency that you had set. Now we can insert at that end. We have select start end block, which allows us to either replace or add the first or the last block in your measure. I'm going to show what that one does later. And we have the ability to change scales, either uniform or different scales. Yeah, so let's have a look. One of the big news here is, I mean, it's a lot of settings here. So how do we really make what we want to? Well, we can save settings. So these settings files, JSON files, they contain all the settings in this dialog, apart from start and end value. So I'm going to pick, I want to do a road light left metric. So now selects the block, sets the scale, sets the interval, sets the rotation and everything in here. All I now need to do is do a preview, and you will see the blocks being inserted. I'll zoom in a little bit here. I'm just going to show some interesting tweaks. Let's do -1 to move it to the left 1 meter. Let's also try this one, align to main path. And you're going to see it's going to lean in the way the road. So the road is going downwards here now. I'm going to turn that one off. and do preview. And then I'm going to show the skip feature. We added the possibility to skip by picking an object. Maybe I don't want that one. I can pick in 2D or 3D. I don't want one. And we have a question. Skip or detach? Skip means we're going to remove it. Detach means create it, but don't update it, which allows you to move that one manually. It's not going to update in that case. So 20, I'm going to skip that one, do OK. You'll see that one is not part of that anymore. Let's do another one. Actually, I'll do a very quick one. We're adding support for, so you see import IFC property set. Import that one. I hope I did. Measure. I'm going to pick the same feature line again. I am going to pick another setting. I'm going to do guardrails left metric. You can see that we can now set IFC export as. We're preparing for IFC. So IFC 4.3. So these objects will come out as guardrails in the IFC export. In this one here, I have used the method to select start and end block. It means I have a start segment and an end segment that I'm either adding or replacing at the end. Let's have a look at what it does. Notice also that we see the X, Y, and Z max value. So we can see what settings that block actually has. This one is very much needed to set the correct interval. And I'm now using the interval and direction by chord length. So let's look at this one. I'm going to do it for the whole road first. And if I zoom in, you will see these are the guardrails. From the top, we can see that one actually is going across the feature line to meet the next insertion point. So we kind of insert it seamlessly along. It's not 100% because this road is going downwards, it's turning. So everything doesn't match 100%, but it looks on a demonstration like this or in a normal distance, you don't see it. But of course, if I zoom in, I'm going to have a little bit of tweaking because everything is going in different directions here. So 100% no, but 99.9 I would say. With this one, I'm actually going to set it to start on 20 and end on 60. And let's do OK to see that one. And now you will see that at the start, we have this block there, starting block. And at the end, we have this block there. So it kind of turns around here. Let's go to the orbit command. To turn off the rendering. Because I had it selected, yeah. Okay. Kind of neat, right? I think I'm going to do another one on the other side. Actually, I already have a guardrail. That one is, you see the dark guardrail in the corridor. I'll actually remove that one. Come on.
5 minutes, Thomas.
5 minutes and counting. So I need to be quick. Rebuild. So the extrude command has had similar news. So now I just removed that corridor. The corridor, there it is. The corridor guardrail, so it doesn't mix up here. Okay, so Extrude has a similar feature. I am now available to or able to save settings. So this one extrudes a block or mainly blocks in this case with the settings. So now if I pick one, we have the layer setting, we have the block, we have the scale, offsets, and so. So I'm now going to do between 20 and 60. Actually, I'll do an uneven value. The measure one needs to have even values. This one can be 55.5. And let's preview that one. Yes, it's where I wanted it. I want it to be on another layer, so it's not black. Preview, yeah, looks better. Create. And let's now actually combine this one with the 3D measure on the same feature line. And I'm going to use another saved template. This one is called left pole only metric. Wrong one. Whoops. Sorry. Guardrail right pole only metric. Yep, that's the one. And yeah, now it starts from the beginning into the end. Same settings here, 20 to 55.5. Preview. So now we combine it and we can do any start, any end, and it's actually there. Let's use the orbit again and try to scroll around, and you see what we created here. Finally, I hope you know the labeling tools we've previously had. We had the feature line, add feature line group. I'm going to do this to one of the feature lines. I hope you've seen this one previously. I'm going to pick this feature line there. This one inserts the feature line labels at certain intervals. However, that interval needs to be calculated on in the corridor to have that value or that station. What we now did, I'm going to undo this, was as I showed, the measure command now has support for labels. So I can select the feature line. I think I have a setting. Yeah. So there we have 4 meters. I have a label, note label, elevation from insertion point. Preview that one. We can see the labels coming in at the even interval 20 meter. But let's say I want to have an interval of 12.5. My corridor is not built for that. But we insert it. So any elevation or station on this one is actually added. So that one gives you full flexibility when it comes to labeling feature lines. I know I should end. I just want to do one thing more. So that's the feature line labels. One of the things that we had requests from customers was to be able to pre-select in our edit elevations by scroll wheel and by values. We have, I will say that quite a few customers have recently looked into our features for editing values for feature line labels and point elevations, and they do match Nova Point's elevation tools. We kind of boldly say, please investigate them if you have IDs. This was one of the highlights that we wanted to be able to talk about today. We had a dynamic line set with support for rock cut. We have dynamic surfaces with I hope you've seen the dynamic line set command where we create lines after each other to create these kind of traffic islands and so. So the feature we were working there was to create any top surface, bottom surface of any of the lines, creating solids from surfaces within that line set. However, the stability of that one was not good enough, so we weren't able to release it. That's why we're aiming for 24.4 in August. Well, then we will have a lot of news. Martin Olsen, one of our consultants, he says he loves it, but we had some issues. We couldn't release it. Okay, Caroline, sorry for taking 3 extra minutes.
No
as
worries.
usual. Oh, thank you.
It's no problem at all. So I'm going to grab my take the share. So you'll probably see my Civil 3D instead, and you can, one of the features with this, you can actually still see Thomas share. So if you want to go over there, you can do that. So I just want to start by saying that this one is still recorded, and it's actually the fact that if you stay in the event when we have closed it, you will see a replay immediately. So you actually can find the replay of this webinar straight after we are done from the same link. So that is kind of interesting. But it will also be up on the website on our YouTube. So I just want to show you our youtube.com/Naviate. Is where we end up everything. The entire spring, actually, we've been working quite hard with our feature of the week. So we actually have quite a large library right now of feature of the weeks where you can find specific sort of bite size of our different functionalities. And we're going to fill this one up with the news from 24 as well. So it's become quite a library, and we're going to keep adding to this one. So it's usually me or Carl, so it's me or one of our American consultants. So just wanted to show you, but you will find the webinars there as well. So let's see what we have for pipe and traffic. So when it comes to pipe, one of the things that we could classify as a fix, but quite a big change, is inside our offset pipe network, where we create copies of network. We have all the way through basically had a problem where you select the pipes in the wrong order, so to say, when you basically selected downslope or selected upslope. You will get this view, so it's not really working. But now we have the option of doing reverse, so that we can actually reverse the selection straight away, so you don't need to reselect everything. And then the command just continues as usual. Can you mute yourself as well, Thomas? I'm just hearing a little bit of shuffle in the background. Yeah, good. It is very sensitive, this platform that we have, so it's more sensitive than Teams. So that's just a quality of life when it comes to how we do this. So if we continue in the functionality, we come to our create pipe network. So, and this is the command where we can create pipe network from multiple polylines. So it starts from offset network, but you can find it as well underneath network from, or rather up here, since we've moved our functionality, network from polylines. This is the same command that I'm showing you right now. So what we added inside here is that if I just select my pipe networks, we have added that we can add a spanning label. So straight away, we can add a spanning label to our pipe that we are selecting or that we are creating. So, and this is something that we're going to work more with to create, because it's a good way of sort of grouping our pipe networks, or rather our pipe branches inside the network. So you'll see that we're sort of using the spanning labels as a selection, as a grouping technique, and to sort of use that in different ways. So this is one start of it, that we're adding the spanning label there. We can also from here reverse the flow direction. So this is to combine with the selection process to make sure that you can create them any way you like, basically. So I'm just going to add the spanning label there, and it's going to create my pipe networks, and then I have my spanning label over here. You can notice that if I select the spanning label, the pipes are highlighted, but they are not selected. So we've had this function for a while, but just to remind you that we can actually select spanning labels from the labels. This is a Naviate functionality that we can use. And update with this right now is that we can also say, do you want to include the start and end structure? So if I say yes, then the start and end structure will be selected as well. And then you can move over to your next functionality. But the spanning labels there are interesting to sort of collect our pipes together. And we have added a function to place them. So we have our own add spanning label. So if I just want to create it, I get a dialog here. I can select my label and then click add, and then just select the first and last. And it's adding the spanning label to my pipes. We also have a update spanning label. And this is because if I do a change in my network, so if I go in and add a structure, for instance, if I just add a structure here, the civil spanning label is actually broken. It doesn't, because I selected it all the way up here, but it breaks the selection. So what we added is a update, because we remember where we started from. So if I do update spanning label, select that one, it's going to show that, yeah, this is what you're supposed to be. Click enter, and it's returning. That's the only thing that I'm a little bit annoyed with, but it's sort of returning to the original structure. So even if you sort of continue from this branch, you can update from there. And the final thing that we have right now with spanning labels, but again, we'll probably develop this further, is that we can create a profile view from it. So if you've created this, for instance, if I did my original one where I did my offset, I can straight away from there create a profile view from that selection. So it's a way of using the selection already. And then I can just run through the functions, the dialogues that we're used to. It's the normal Civil 3D functionality. Just going to change the data band, and then I have my profile view with those pipes that I selected. So it's a quick way of creating the profile views for this one. I'm just going to remove that one because I want to keep this file as small as I can. So the spanning labels is something, or pipe branches, as we're going to start calling them probably, is something that we're going to work more with to have this as a sort of selection and make sure that we can keep them as branches. So you'll see more about that when we come to that.
If I may add in there, Caroline.
Yes.
Sorry, yeah. Just to clarify, what we're working on here with the pipe branches is we are going to add them probably both in our objects on off and in this object explorer that we have here with our kind of objects, pipe bends, service pipes. Some of you might work with different features in here. So most probably going to have pipe branches in here, and we will see the branches. So what we're thinking here, we had the discussions with customers about you in your pipe network, you actually quite often work with a branch going here, a branch going there, the main branch going here, and you want an easy way to work with it, change sizes, change elevations, select it, or rename it, or yeah. So that's going to come maybe in the next version or a very close one. Sorry, or thanks. Over to you, Caroline.
Yep. And I will return to my stream. So yeah, so you'll see more about this. So that is a good one. I'm just going to find my list again. So two new functionalities, or one brand new and one that's been around. We've shown it before. I'm going to show you how it looks right now. So pipe fillet, as we said, create arced pipes between two existing pipes. They can be connected. They don't need to be connected though. So if I have two pipes in this case that are not connected for some reason, I can run my pipe fillet command and I select my two pipes and it's creating the fillet. Depending on the type of curve you want to do, right now it's asking me for curve radius. So I can say I want to have a specific radius. If you're working and it's important with length, for instance, for district heating, it's important with the length for it, then I can say I want this to be a 12-meter pipe, even though it's a bend. If you work with water pipes, then it's the factor usually for the bends. So the factor of the diameter, so 1.5 or 2.5. So depending on how you want to define your bend or your fillet, you can use different versions down here. And you can say, and of course I can go back to radius. So you can sort of test out and see what types will work for you. And then you can hit enter. You'll see that it's adding these labels to it. So I can sort of see the slope and direction for it. So it's working in the direction of the pipe. So if I remove this one, and that's pretty important. So if I flip this one over, so I have the other way around, and then I run pipe fillet again, it's actually going to work. So even if I select over here, it's going to work in the direction of the pipe. So just be aware that that is how the functionality is built. So sometimes you will get an arrow saying that you need to reverse pipes if they are in the wrong direction. And then we, of course, have the reverse pipe functionality. So you can reverse the pipes to make sure that you have them in the correct direction. Now, the reverse pipe function has been updated so that you can actually check your entire network. So we have the option down here for label all pipes in network. And if I now select the pipe, it will display the same slope label, but it will just show it on all the pipes. So I can actually run through and make sure that I have everything in the correct direction. And if I need to flip one, I can click on the label and it's actually flipping the pipe. If you want to use the function as usually, then you just start the function and you just select the pipe. So you have both options now, how you want to use the reverse pipe. The other function, I'm just going to change the style of this alignment because it's driving me nuts to have these arrows hanging about. So the other function, and it's going to be the really short version of this, this is pipe bend. And pipe bend is a way of replicating the pressure pipe functionality almost. Where we can sort of create these pipes in specific angles. So I can say I want this to be 45-degree angle, and it will create the pipe in that way. I can do next, and it's going to create the pipe and move over to the next one. So I can create these at specific angles with specific lengths as well. So we can simulate to create pipe bends where we have legs on our bends. And it's actually going to create those legs as pipe objects. We can also, we've implemented the fillet command inside here. So we can actually say that we want to have an arc there as well. So now if I do create, I don't want to have that. I want to have that at 45. There we go. And I'm going to create. Create means that I'm going to end it. And that is just going to create these pipes. So I have the different objects. So this one will actually be the bend. These will be connected and be considered the bend. The rest will be the pipe options. So this is a way of creating pressurized pipe, water or district heating, and create them with gravity pipes, which gives us benefits. The big benefit is that I have all the dimensions that I need. I don't need to create these objects one-on-one. So it's a way of using gravity pipes, but still being able to create them at specific angles, specific lengths. If this is interesting to you, and I hope it is for those specifically for district heating that can create this, and also for water pipes and stuff like that, contact me and we can set up a longer demo, because we think that this will be a good workflow for those that are maybe not as happy with pressure pipe as one would hope that one would be. But yeah,
we actually have a customer right now that is selecting to move over to this feature and try to use that one instead of the gravity pipes feature, depending on the needs to create all sizes, all bends, all appurtenance, you name it. Did I miss you? You talked about T
I haven't shown, but we can.
So,
we can create basically any object that we need. We can create T's with the same functionality. T's is basically just two angles. We can create reducers. Almost, I think that's the one that because we can't do the tapering. That's the only thing but we can do the objects. We can do bends. We can do bowed pipes. So we can do 12-meter bowed pipes as well. So we can do all these things. It just takes more than 5 minutes to show it all. So if you're interested, then let me know, and I will happily show you everything about it. Just contact me. So those were the ones, because I wanted to have at least a little bit of time to talk about traffic as well. So because we have about 10 minutes or 8 minutes, so I'm going to be the fastest one when it comes to traffic as well. Because we have one big thing that we did with change with traffic, and this was something that our customer asked for. And it felt good to be able to complete it for them. So I'm just going to bring up a 3D view here. because one of the things that we got with traffic is that usually it's a very cramped drawing, so we don't really want to see the sign holder pole. That was one of the first things that we actually got, that we want to reduce the sign holder pole in the section, but we still want to have the real values for it. We want to have the 3D model is one thing, but want to have the elevations, want to have everything like that, but we just want to schematically view it in section. So we've added that. We have a schematic view for our sections right now. So when I create a sign holder, I'm just going to select a stop sign. First of all, you notice that we have plan scale and section scale. They are now moved out, so it's easier to create them at different scales. So they're not stored inside the template. They are too, but you can set them here. But inside my template, I have the option of using a schematic view. So I can set it to 1 meter, but right now I'm going to set it to 0 because I don't want to show a pole in the section. I just want to have it in 3D. So I'm going to say 0 there, and then I'm just going to hit insert. And then I'm going to select my alignment, I'm going to place it over there and over there. And now you can see this gray pole in the background. That is the real pole. But what I'm going to see in my section is nothing. So the real pole is still there. And in my 3D view, you can see the pole there. We have the pole height. If we take a look at manager, we can still see the elevations. So we have elevation top, we have all these values, so everything is still real. It's just that in the section, we're showing a schematic view. If I move the sign, it's still moving along the pole, but it's not moving there. And now you need to mute yourself again, Thomas.
Yeah, it's the cats again.
Yeah. So it's just a way of sort of being able to do this. As I said, you don't need to have a 0 pole. We can have a schematic where it's 1 meter. So if I say that I want the schematic view to be 1 meter, then I will have a pole that is 1 meter, no matter where I place the sign. So it's always 1 meter below the sign. And that is 1 meter below the lowest sign. So if I add a sign inside here, and I say I want this to be an all-way stop, and I use the option below because I want this to be below my sign. And now the pole is 1 meter below it. So it's always 1 meter below the lowest sign. So you get a schematic view of this. So this is something that is stored in templates. So you can activate this if you want to. Another thing that we did, and you probably noticed if you've used this one before, as we said, it's now organized in a column-wise instead of row-wise. So it's just, we changed a lot with the UI this version, so it takes some time to get used to it. We can copy sign holders. We can copy them with reference. So if I know that I need to have a copy of this sign, it should be the same sign, but it should be 50 units in one direction along the alignment. When I start my copy, when I've selected my alignment, I have reference. So reference means that if I select a reference point, which in this case is going to be my inserted sign, I can then say, well, I want this to be 50 units away. And then I'm not going to have any offset. And now it's placing it 50 units away. So if you have signs that sort of like they have to be a specific spacing, this is a way of being able to create one, and then you create your copies and you place them along the alignment. And then I'm just going to place it over there. As soon as I have a copy, this one is a new sign, so I can change this as much as I like. So reference option is available both in copy and in insert if you know it needs to be a specific distance away from something. And 2 more functionalities. Check sign elevation we've had for quite a while, but what we update inside here is when I select a sign, it's actually showing me, first of all, it's showing me the real sign holder, so it's ignoring the schematic view, but I can select my reference point in the section, and the line that I'm seeing here is the real surface. So right now I can see that, yeah, I have a curbstone here. So I actually want to calculate the elevations for my sign from the edge of the curbstone. So if I now use a snap point and say, yeah, that's the point I'm going to calculate from, and that's my reference point for the checks that I'm going to do. And you can see the arrows. So I can see the arrows, how it's calculating in section. I can see that in 3D. So it's pretty easy to see, okay, where is this correct? Is this where I should be calculating? So this section view has become more and more intelligent to make sure that we can see everything inside here. And of course, when I do close, it's going to revert back to the original view. So there's a lot of intelligence inside these signs. The real terrain view is something you can activate. So if I want to see it, it is an additional setting and it's called terrain. So if I have, for instance, a gantry where I want to see how the surface looks, then I can activate this and it will always be there. So it's a view option that you have inside the sign holder parameters. And final thing that we added, traffic to Infraworks. So one of the things about getting, because it's you can get all this. This is actually blocks and 3Ds and stuff like that. So it's pretty easy to get to Infraworks. But one of the things that you need to do to be able to go in there is that we need to move everything to 0. We need to move it closer to Origo, to the 0 point in your file. So previously you need to do this basically manually. But so we added a functionality that you can say that I want to grab all my sign holders and then I have an offset point. So I can say, okay, I want this one to be my offset points, and that needs to be inserted into Infraworks when you import. So we can save that to a text file so you remember where you had your offset point. And then, okay, and it's just going to export to a DWG. And then you can import it into Infraworks. So it's just an easier way, if you do that method repeatedly, it's just an easier way to make sure that you get everything in. So sign holder markings, we've also added 3D solids and 3D blocks, so you can use this for other things as well if you want to go over to Infraworks or export it to 0. So those were the final things. Did we get any questions? 2 minutes left, 1 minute left. Nope, no questions. Good. Or good. If you have questions, you feel free to ask them. Yes, this will be, as we said, this is recorded, so it will be up on the website. I do think if you're here right now, if you missed the start, you can actually go in on the link and then you can find the download or the replay as soon as we're done here. But it will be up, I think, during this week or during next week. Everyone that's been signed up will get this in their email. So
and Mia is asking for the download, and that's a good question about the versioning. Yes, so the version is uploaded. It is available for download, but I do notice that there are some that I think are UK participants here. Just want to say that version is not installing on UK. I think we have noticed or have a notice on that one. Yeah. Saying that UK user have to wait. The guy that fixes the installation is off. He's back on Monday, and we yesterday discovered that the UK installation just won't run. Swedish, US, Finnish, Norwegian, those are the languages, right? Yep. They work. UK don't. Sorry for that, but that's going to be fixed by Monday. Okay. So, yes. Thanks.
Thank you for today.
4 o'clock sharp. See you. Now my cat is here again. See ya.